morning. I think we're going to get started. It seems like most people are here. Thank you for coming today. I'm Laura Smits. I'm the co-president of the State League of Women Voters of Connecticut. Who is the League of Women Voters? Thank you. Who is the League of Women Voters? At the table as you enter. What? Why, you can't see me? I'm that short. No. Okay, all right. At the table as you enter, there's info about the League. You don't have to be a woman to join. We get that a lot. We organize candidate debates, conversations with our state legislators, politics and pie, work with our high school students on civics issues, and host lectures. Also on the table, info about America 250, which you may be aware of. Weston's celebration of its 250th birthday. Say hello to Jennifer Daniel. Jennifer Daniel, you waving your hand out there? Back in the back. There she is. She is coordinating Weston's commemoration. As many of you know, our first select woman, Samantha Nestor, has thrown her hat in the ring to run for state senator to represent the 26th state district, Senate district. Despite this, today's event is about what's happening in Weston. If you have any questions for her regarding her decision to run, she's planning to stick around after Speak Up and would be happy to chat with you then. Unfortunately, this year we had scheduling issues, and two of the selectmen could not attend, Tony Pesco and Lauren Traum. Lauren was able to attend the initial date and was very disappointed not to be able to attend today. The League offered her an opportunity to send a statement, which I will read shortly. This is an unscripted event. It's not intended as a debate between our officials, but an opportunity for Westonites to ask questions and express their concerns to the town officials. We ask everyone to be civil and respectful. This event will be recorded and posted on the Weston League website. Silence your phones. Hate to have to say that, but every now and then there isn't one. As we said, there's no personal attacks, please. If you have a question, please go up to the mic, state your address and your name. If you have a statement as opposed to a question, there's a 2-minute time limit. The goal of Speak Up is to give as many people an opportunity to ask one question. If you want to ask a second question, please wait for everyone else to have a chance to ask a question. The moderator has the discretion to determine if a question has been answered or if a topic has been exhausted. Okay, so I have my phone for the stopwatch for the statements, and please, let's go. I'm going to introduce, before I introduce the panel, I'm going to read Lauren's statement, if that's okay with everyone. This is from Lauren Traum, 3rd Selectman, correct? Yes. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this important community conversation. I appreciate the invitation to participate and regret that I am unable to attend due to a previously scheduled commitment. I remain fully committed to hearing from residents and welcome anyone in town to reach out to me directly via my town email with questions, concerns, or ideas you would like to discuss. I would be more than happy to connect or schedule a time to meet. As we look ahead, I believe it is essential that Weston take a comprehensive and thoughtful approach to planning for our future. This includes developing a long-term capital plan that addresses both town and school infrastructure needs in a coordinated and transparent way, while also carefully considering how to fund those needs while remaining mindful of the financial impact on taxpayers. I also believe in the importance of preserving meaningful opportunities for community participation, including the annual town budget meeting. These forums give residents a direct voice in decisions that shape our town and help ensure transparency, accountability, and engagement. I have advocated for expanding opportunities for public input at Board of Selectmen's meetings and was pleased that we added a dedicated public comment session focused on the budget. My hope is to include a public comment portion to all our meetings. Residents deserve to be heard in a public forum. Thank you for your engagement and for taking the time to be part of this discussion. Okay, now I'm going to introduce on the stage. We have the first select person, Samantha Nestor. And maybe if you could just raise your hand in case people don't know who you are, don't know about that, but everybody knows it. The town administrator, Carl Kilduff.
Yay!
Board of Education Chair, Debbie Lowe.
Yay! Come on, guys.
Superintendent of Schools, Erica Forte. Board of Finance, Mike Imber. Board of Police Commissioner, David Muller. Police Chief, Ed Henyon. Planning and Zoning Commission, Sally Korsch. And in the front row in some of the chairs, we have Lucy Bango, Aspetuck Health District. Department of Public Works, Larry Roberts. I don't see Mr. Fela here yet. Conservation Commission, Mary Francois. Vice Chair BOE FOC, former member David Felton. Charter Revision Committee, Kian O'Sullivan. Building Board of Appeals, Dave Coprio. Commission on Aging, David Goodman. Commission for Children and Youth, Jillian Donovan and Sherry Goldstein. Commission for the Arts, Paul Levin. Let's see Paul here. Parks and Rec, Doug Reese. Library Board, David Frail. Marketing Communications, Carolyn Hill, New York. Lashot Town Farm Commission, Kat McConaughey. Okay, and away we go. So hopefully questions go up to the mic. And let's start. If there is no questions, I have one here from a person from the Outer Lands, meaning Ms. Mortimer, who is technically the president of the League of Women Voters of Weston. All right, let me find it. Sorry, old person working technology. Always a challenge. Okay. Planning and zoning. Is there anything new at planning and zoning?
That's a really broad statement.
All right, well, here's the second part of it. There's two parts of this large question set. Any new Connecticut state mandates on the horizon?
Well, on the horizon is different from what we're currently facing. So as you all know, there was a big housing bill last term. The effect on Weston is very minimal. What we are going to have to do is change a few things in the regulations. For example, we will need to remove references to character. But that's not a big deal because we are otherwise creating protections within our regulations to make sure that Weston still looks like Weston. The biggest place that will affect is the village district. We had a more permissive way of looking at village district proposals. By the way, there is not one now. And now we will make the development standards mandatory. So someone will have to meet those standards rather than having us do a discretionary review of how they meet those standards. It's a technicality, but it should not affect what we would see come in. I think you all know that the proposal to eliminate 2-acre zoning did not pass last year. However, it's been brought up again, so we have to keep our eyes on that. I don't think that, we've been told by our representative at the Western Council of Government, who we work with very, very closely, that this should not move forward, but we hope that. But other than that, there's not really much going on. Regulation changes, seeing what comes up. Our agenda is always posted at least Thursday before a meeting. Our next meeting is April 6th. 6th. And so you're more than welcome to attend by Zoom or if you're having a hybrid meeting in person. There's not much more to say.
Thank you. Please all rush up to the mic. This is the hardest part in the beginning. Everybody's, come on up, please. And state your name. Don't forget to state your name and your address in Weston. There's the mic right there.
Hi, so my name is Annalise Ferrara, 67 Lions Plain Road. I have a question about the Charter Revision Commission. Is there an obligation for us to do that? Is it something that needs to be done once every 10 years, once every 5 years? And how much does it cost to actually go through that?
You have more experience than me.
Go ahead.
Charter revision is right now voluntary. Each town can choose to do it. In this case, the Board of Selectmen was the entity to set it in motion. There are other ways in state statute to set a charter revision going forward. There's a petition mechanism also. So right now it's a voluntary aspect. There was a state statute floated to make it a 10-year mandatory horizon to look at it. Once that bill surfaced, a lot of charter revisions coincidental to that, started adding language about making a periodic look-see to double-check and look at the charter, just to make sure that it's current and reflects current conditions and the like.
Okay, one follow-up? Am I allowed one follow-up?
Sure.
What was the momentum, or what was the reason why we're doing it at this point in time?
So the former, is this working? Hello, can you?
Yep, a little bit.
Okay, our
Former iteration. Okay, all right, all right. Okay, well, okay, I'm going to talk a little softer. Our previous iteration of the Board of Selectmen unanimously decided that after 12 years of the same charter, that it was time to take a look at it. But we, as a group, did not think that the entire charter needed to be revised. We had found there had been some confusion with certain aspects of the town charter, and we asked, we created charges, which it's fully transparent. You can watch the meetings. We first had a meeting that talked about charter revision process and what they do. Carl, who has worked on a number of different, Carl Kilduff, our town administrator, who's worked on a number of different charter revisions. He offered his expertise about process, and there is an attorney that is across the state that we engaged with whose specialty is actually charter revisions. So we also engaged with him collectively as a board. We decided that it was best to use an outside law firm to help and assist the Charter Revision Commission. And they were given 6 charges? 8 charges? 8, sorry, thank you. 8 charges, but the Charter Revision Commission, once they convene, they can do what they want. If they see other needs that are in the charter to be addressed, they can address those needs. But it was a fully unanimous decision by the Board of Selectmen, and it was over a decade in the making.
Kian, do you want to add anything to that?
I don't think I could follow that up, except to say thank you to Carl, who has taken a relative bunch of newbies to government, I would say, apart from maybe David, and helped to steer the process through, I think, pretty successfully so far. Also, I'd like to thank a lot of the folks on the stage and up front here, as well as the townsfolk who have taken the time to give feedback at the public hearing, the first public hearing we had, and we've received a lot of correspondence in the interim online, so thank you to everybody, which we take that very seriously. Thank you.
Okay, thank
When's
you.
the next public hearing?
Oh, you think I would know that? It's April 16th, thereabouts.
Yeah, April 16th.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
16th at 7 o'clock.
yeah, at Town Hall.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'd like to find out, we have a...
I'm sorry, name and street.
Sorry,
That's
Michelle
okay.
Liguori, Georgetown Road. We've had a gem of a property in Georgetown for decades. It was iconic from the 1930s, and that was Cobb's Mill Inn. I want to find out why it's not been accepted, or what is the impediment from the town that is preventing this beautiful property from being established. And I know that the property owners really have been fighting for it for over 3 years. And I understand that it's because of the town being the declinations to all the things that they've asked for. So that's my question. It's an iconic property, and it's really a shame that we don't have many services and properties in this town. We had at least two restaurants. One is upcoming, but the fact that that property just deteriorates and that there's no passion from our town government to have it restored is a shame.
So, Ms. Ligori, I'm going to pass you to the Conservation Commission because they have actually crossed a big hurdle. So, Mary, would you like to talk about it?
So, yeah, just really briefly, everybody knows where Cosmoland is, so it's right on the waterway. So one of the first things that they have to do is they have to come to us, the Conservation Commission. In the last, well, in my time on the Conservation Commission, which is since 2020, we've had 2 applications from them. We've approved both of them. So if you want to, last month's meeting, we approved their application to do some work to shore up. There is a discussion there of why the previously approved work wasn't done. We approved it. They've got a lot of other issues, I think, outside the town, but that discussion is there. It's from last month's meeting. Both of the applications that they have brought to us have been approved. They're free to go ahead and do that work. It's a complicated issue, and it's a complicated property, but there's nothing open in front of the town right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just...
Hello? Why is it so loud for me and doesn't work for anybody else? Who in the audience is doing this? Okay, there must be a... I just want to ask our Chair of Planning and Zoning, is anything in front of you right now to approve? Okay, so they're just waiting for something to approve. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next question, come on down. Don't be shy. Oh, we have someone standing up, maybe? Yay. Thank you.
Sure. Pat Weiss, 72 Old Hyde Road. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today. Appreciate that. Given the estimated tax increase of 4.5% to help cover the costs of the middle school construction, administrative building move, infrastructure projects, and road repair, I'm wondering why you have chosen to continue the next phase of the sidewalk project that run through the residential areas of Norfield Road and Old Hyde Road. 18 of the 20 households affected don't want the sidewalks. 20% of the costs for the sidewalks must be covered by the town. 55 stunning trees will be cut down that will compromise the character and beauty of our neighborhoods. There are maintenance, drainage, and liability issues, and the shade that cools our homes will disappear because of the sidewalks. But most importantly, the sidewalks serve only a tiny percentage of our town's population, yet the tax burden falls on everyone. We know that the 20% of the town must cover the $2.1 million budget for the sidewalks comes from the capital budget, which is built on our tax dollars. Would it not be a better use of those funds on the priority projects like the schools, et cetera, to help reduce everyone's tax burden? Considering this, and in my opinion, the sidewalks project seems unnecessary and wasteful of our tax dollars. Please share your thinking.
Thank you so much, Pat. One of the things I just want to clarify is that the capital budget funding has already happened, that the 20% for design and the 20% for the capital costs, that was approved in the 2024 capital budget and in previous budgets. So I just want to clarify that that cost has already been paid for by the taxpayer. In addition, I just also want to clarify that the maintenance of these sidewalks have also been already covered by the 2024 capital budget with a snow removal system that is already going to be included in our regular maintenance that we already do to existing sidewalks. And we have, as a town, listened to so many of the concerns. We reduced the number of trees that were removed. We reduced pathways that led to the schools. We changed the scope of the project. I will be presenting to the Board of Selectmen. We do have the results of the town survey, and we will be presenting to the Board of Selectmen those results. which do show support for the sidewalks and existing use for the sidewalks. And I want you to know that we are tremendously sympathetic. We have spent an extra year almost changing the designs to help accommodate the requests that you have. And moving forward, we are open to suggestions, but this is fully funded by a grant that is really our money that we already put in to the state and federal governments, and just money that we get back that we've already put in. But I do just want to clarify, I am sympathetic to the community's concerns, and I can't talk about the shade question. I think Dr. Fela can talk about the shade issues better than I, being that he's a tree warden. But first, I'm going to pass this to Dave.
I said that when I go to theater, this is the guy I don't want to sit behind, but up here, it's fine because I can hide behind Carl. As chair of the police commission, I mean, one of the issues that we talk about a lot is public safety. And it is no secret that there is no really safe place to walk in town. Access to the school property during the school days is limited, understandably. People can't go use the track. And there has been significant commentary about the need for an ability to walk in town. We certainly saw that with a pickup during COVID when lots of people were home. But it's pretty unsafe to walk in the streets, especially on a lot of the streets that are curvy, that you can't really see. And the sidewalk project is very much seen as a way to give connectivity between various town facilities and to give people from the senior center the ability to take a walk in a safe manner and to give other people the ability to get from A to B or just to go out and exercise. So it's a balancing act. It's certainly recognize that this is going to be a strip along the street in front of people's properties. There's no hiding that. But what we're achieving as a town is the ability for safety, and I think that is a priority.
May I ask a follow-up question
Are we
about
going
the
to give
survey?
that to Tom about the trees or no?
Yeah, I'd like to have Tom. I
One
have
second.
not presented the survey to the Board of Selectmen yet. It's in draft form, they're finishing up. I mention it, but I can't really, I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk in public. I can tell you.
No, I just have a data question about the survey.
Yeah.
How many people responded to that survey?
The 20%? Yeah, about 20%. Yeah.
So it's a very small minority of people who live in Weston that you're pulling your data from. I know in the last survey that we have cited.
Yeah, no, I as a marketing, is there somebody who's in marketing who can explain that 20% is about 20% of
That's actually more than we had the last time we did a survey that my committee ran. So that's actually considered a beyond viable market
Yeah, a
leader.
robust sample. I'm just,
Yep, happy to
I'm
help.
not trying, is there anyone else who's a marketing person who would like to comment on?
Is it possible that we can review that survey while it's going or before it's going to the town committee so that we understand how it's being interpreted? Because the last survey.
It will be presented publicly, and it will be published in the backup materials, and anybody can look at it. It's a full public process.
Great.
But it is, we have been working on the budget, and it was completed about 2 months ago, and we did say that we would then bring it before the Board of Selectmen in 60 to 90 days, and we are staying true to their word. But I don't think it's fair to present it or give it to somebody else before Lauren.
No,
before
I'm not
Selectman
asking to see it.
Or for Selectman Pesco.
I understand that. I mean, that's process.
Yeah, we
it's
want to
just-
make sure we follow it.
Of course, as you should, but I think there's, I believe, some misinterpretation of the data around this very issue of the sidewalks from the last survey. So I think, our sensitivities are heightened because of that, because it's been presented that the town wanted this. It was a teeny percentage, and it was never asked, do you want these sidewalks through residential areas? I mean, there was misinterpretation, we believe, from that survey. So I'm just curious to see the rest of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Tom, do you want to weigh in on the tree?
Not really.
Okay, good. Let's wrap it up.
And I've had
Okay.
many conversations. I'm happy to
Could
talk
you
some
let-
more with you about
Could you
it.
let the people in the room know about the shade?
Well, the trees aren't casting any shade right now, to be a little flip about it, but, you know, it's an east-west road. Shade is cast on the house, maybe. The houses are set back, maybe in the morning when the shadows are longest. If you're walking along the street, yes, you would feel the heat if the trees were missing.
Yes.
On hot days in the summer, yes,
Yep,
you would.
It makes them unusable.
But I also want to point out that the healthier trees are on the private property. You guys have been doing a great job taking care of the trees on the private property. The trees along the road are stressed. They're having trouble. And we've had a number of trees die, and we've had to take them down. So, and that's inevitable. Trees have life, you know, they're born, they grow, and they die. And I'm more concerned about the safety issue as it relates to the trees, either falling on passersby, vehicles, your driveways. We've done a number of trimming jobs, things like that. So we take it as it comes, you know, and if there's a sidewalk built, that would be an incursion on the root structure of the trees that are there. In some cases, the trees are in the way.
Okay, thank you.
And so we've had this conversation before, so.
Thank you very much. The Lorax, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Susan Barron, Old Hyde Road. I have two comments. The first one is, where's everybody going to park that wants to use the sidewalk? Because basically, you're only servicing residents on Old Hyde Road and maybe the few branches off. The people on Lyons Plains and the further area, where are they going to park their cars in order to walk this wonderful walking path that you want to do through our neighborhood? That's the first one. The second one, I was driving in a residential area in Darien, and they had sidewalks, and to my surprise, everybody was walking in the street, and nobody was walking on the sidewalks. Twofold. One, probably because the sidewalks weren't maintained, and they were, you know, limb trees were pushing up, and they were walking on the streets. So what are you going to do about that? Keeping people on the sidewalk and not on the street?
Okay, who wants that question?
The first question, I think I can do.
The first question is, where are people going to park their cars?
Okay, so this Old Hyde and Norfield component of the sidewalk is part of a sidewalk network. Actually, the second phase of that sidewalk network is going from Lourdes Highway to the schools, to the middle school. And right now, we have the first set of the network, which goes from the St. Francis Church, it goes up through Town Hall, it connects through the rapid flashing beacon with Town Center, it takes you past by the senior center,
You're not
and it
answering my
takes you
question.
Please, I let you speak, please let me speak,
Yep.
thank you. And then that whole network takes you there. And the premise of this is to mimic really the 5K loop. And there's another set of sidewalks that go up in front of Town Hall and connect to the church. So you could park in the Town Hall lot, you could park in the Onion Barn, you could park at Town Center in after hours for the schools, you could park in the public areas of the schools, you could even park and you could go for a walk after you go to church. The idea is that, or you could park at Gus Christensen's house, which is right across the street from Norfield Church. And he's got a big lot over there. But there are a lot of areas. We do not encourage anybody to park in someone's driveway or park on Old Hyde Road. The idea is that Old Hyde Road becomes part of a network of an exercise path or a way for kids who live on Old Hyde or who live on Kettle Creek or who live in that area. They can safely walk to school. But it also allows our seniors to walk out of the senior center and go for a big loop, or for someone to go get their lunch at Lily's or go to, I don't remember what the lunchbox is going to be called, the Chase. Go to the Chase, have their car parked in that sidewalk, and make their way and walk up to the sidewalks. So This was done in a very thoughtful way and in a planful way. In fact, it was part of the plan of conservation and done with charrettes, in-person meetings throughout that process of developing the plan of conservation. So this has been in print since 2019. It has taken a long time because we have sought input. We have made sure different parts were funded, and the DOT with certain things were delayed. And we have sought to remove parts of these projects that didn't make sense. The second part of the question was what?
How do you make sure people don't walk on the street?
Okay, well, it's a free country. And I'm not going to tell
Well, who's gonna
people what to
maintain
do.
it? You can have
So
to maintain
I'm
it.
going to pass this to Larry Roberts.
You're up, Larry. And Larry Roberts and I speak to him on a monthly basis.
Well, who wants this, Larry or Carl?
All right, short straw, go for it.
Yeah, Larry. I leave messages for Larry every
All right,
month.
Larry's gonna answer, go for it, Larry.
Yeah, so maintenance of these sidewalks will become part of what Public Works does on an annual basis. So maintenance could be anything from snow removal, which we will be handling with a machine that we're purchasing for that specific purchase. But just like we do work on the roads, potholes, or if, I think you mentioned roots coming up in Darien, those would be treated like we treat everything else. We'll make sure that we maintain them in a safe manner to the best of our ability. So maintenance of that will fall on Public Works. And we have a lot of people on Old Hyde that regularly reach out when we have issues on that road, and we try and address them as soon as we can practically do so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question, please.
Joe Fitzpatrick, whoa, loud, Old Hyde Road. Yeah, I promised my wife I'd behave myself. I have two questions, one easy question. First off, I want to thank you for inviting the residents of Old Hyde Road to see the plan and hear about it firsthand. That was earlier in the week, so thanks for that. Simple question. There are some suggestions made there. Some of them you can entertain, some you can't. Are you going to entertain them?
That is the question for Larry and Carl. I think.
And if you don't have to answer it today, my question is, will you?
That is why we had the meeting, because we didn't just want to submit it to DOT, and we wanted to be able to see what was possible and what was not possible from that meeting.
And I'll add to that. This meeting occurred this past week.
Hold the mic closer.
And during that meeting, we had the design engineer there, our town consulting engineer, myself, and others. And we did listen to the concerns, the questions that were asked, and we did take notes and made a list of them. So every Monday morning, we have a standing meeting where we talk about the ongoing projects in town, and we do plan on this Monday reviewing that list and talking about the concerns and what changes may be possible to based upon that feedback.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last one, a little more difficult. Dave, you brought up safety, okay? That's a big concern. I live on 21. It's just a couple of houses down. I come from a law enforcement family too, so I understand where I'm coming from. I have tons of respect for law enforcement, and I understand their limited assets to enforce the law. But I got to tell you, that stop sign on Old Hyde Road and the stop sign on Lord's Highway, I'm not talking about rolling stops. I'm talking about people blow through that thing. And I'm an advocate for, and I don't know if you can do it, is put up cameras, start enforcing the law. You can fund your budget, but also stop people from this bad behavior.
I'm going to defer to the chief because it's a topic that has been regularly discussed at police commission meetings.
Sure. Yeah. Over the last year and a half, we have stepped up traffic enforcement in town. Hopefully people in the town have seen that. You've seen my officers on the side of the road. Maybe you've had a personal encounter with them on the side of the road. They were out stopping cars on my way here. I heard 4 or 5 cars being stopped this morning. I've done that because of the plethora of complaints I've gotten since the pandemic. quite frankly. I don't know what it is after the pandemic. It is not just Weston. People's driving habits are not improving. I've got them out there doing mandatory traffic posts numerous times a shift. I took advantage of 2 state grants for $50,000 apiece, where I was able to place officers out there outside of their regular shifts, usually during the rush hour. I put them out there when I see the cars. During the day, during the week, in the middle of the day, traffic drops off here. But in the mornings, on the way to work, on the way home in the afternoon, traffic really picks up. I have stats in a file here, but I think we did 6 times as many stops this year than we did the previous year. And it's not just that stop sign, it's all over town. You know, we try to get compliance by doing some publicity about it, hopefully by seeing the officers just seeing them on the side of the road slows people down. So that's what I've been doing. We've been picking up the enforcement quite dramatically. And in next year's budget, which isn't approved yet, I asked for extra money to continue that grant enforcement that I got over the last year and a half from the state, because some of that was ARPA money. Obviously, we're not getting any more ARPA money next year, and that money originally comes from the federal government and flows through the state DOT to the towns. The chiefs were complaining to the governor's office about help out there for us to do some enforcement. So that's basically what we've been doing.
Listen, Chief, I appreciate what you're saying. Mm-hmm. You know, I know everybody wants to get along in this town, but sometimes you got to take a hard stand.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's an asset thing. You don't have the assets. It's plugging a dike. I understand that.
Right.
You can get all the grant money you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to solve the problem. The problem's solved when you hit somebody in the pocketbook.
Sure.
And I think, you know, trying to station people there, it's a pain. Whoops. Mm-hmm. You know, you got a lot on your plate. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But I really think you ought to consider the cameras or some mechanism to get these folks to behave. And a lot of them are passing through this town. When they go up Old Hyde Road and they're off to other parts of this, you know, they're avoiding the Merritt Parkway, they're doing all sorts of things. But I really think there's got to be a change in the approach. And we can't just, you know, status quo doesn't work. It's not working. I walk on that road, Dave, a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not just, I see it all the time.
Yeah. So everyone thinks that cameras are a panacea. We're going to get a camera and it's going to solve everything. I think the chief hit the nail on the head. This is not a Weston issue. This is an anger and an aggression issue that has been around now for at least the last 6 years. People don't care. I was in front of Weston Gardens. A car passed me, made a left turn through the red light.
Oh my God.
Didn't even care. I mean, so A, B, you can't just put up cameras. There's an entire state process. I think at this point,
I get
well,
that.
I'm explaining to everyone else here. People think we'll just put up cameras, we'll catch people, and we'll be fine. The state has, until relatively recently, forbid the use of cameras. There is now a pilot program that I believe 6 towns and municipalities in the state are trying, kind of an alpha test to see.
Okay.
But the question is, do we want to live in a society where we have cameras on every road and every street corner?
Well, if it's public safety, that's a priority.
Well, there is a lot of debate about whether putting cameras up everywhere, the use of those cameras. There's just in the news this past week the ability of out-of-state users to access data from cameras already in use in the state. So it's not as, look, I hear you. I would love cameras at every intersection, and I'd love to find everybody, and I'd love to take the pressure off of Sam's budget every year. A, we don't get all the money in town. So when we talk about writing traffic tickets, you write more tickets, the town gets more money. We get a sliver, a tiny sliver of that. The rest goes to the state. So the concept that enforcement and ticket writing boosts our revenues
That was a facetious remark. What I'm trying to say is,
I know, but a lot of people think that.
We got to change behavior. We have to change behavior. And you know, okay, but you understand.
You're heard. You're definitely heard.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you're definitely heard.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the question. Next person up.
Marina Coprio, Laura Lake East. I don't have a question, but since the chief is here and the superintendent of schools, I have a comment. In the fall, when it's still daylight savings time, or no, Eastern, not daylight, when it gets darker earlier is what I'm trying to say. The high school track and field team, girls and boys, that's their training time, I'm sure, and they're great kids. I have no problem with them. But they run up and down. I guess they do the loop. And when they're on Old Hyde, you might have a group of 6 or 8 of them at a time. They're in the road, and I understand why. But I would like, maybe this is the superintendent's job, and I was going to write an email to the coach, to the head of the athletic department at the high school. Certainly those kids could be told or given, I think Weston can afford this, some sashes that are, you know, reflective, or vests or whatever, or T-shirts, or at least someone tell them that they need to wear something reflective, because since I use Old Hyde all the time to go home or to go someplace else, it drives me crazy. I'm afraid one of them is going to be hit by a driver who's not real careful, or they stumble and fall into the road, who knows? And that's just a comment that the superintendent and the chief can think about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up.
All right, Tim Rogers, Newtown Turnpike. I think in the meantime, if you want to go for a walk, Wilton Center has great sidewalks, and they're kept cleared. That's not my question. Affordability is a big topic nationally. You know, it's so expensive to survive in America. What is the town doing to try to has the town come up with any ideas on affordability for people that live here? And maybe Carl or Sam could answer that.
I'm going to have all three of us actually answer that. I'm going to, just off the top of my head, two of the things that have affected us in our budgets. And I work with other first selectmen and mayors in this regional organization called WestCOG, which is the Western Council of Governments. And we recently had one of our monthly meetings, and all of us have been doing the, how's your budget? And all of us are experiencing, among other things, 3 real affordability issues. Our healthcare costs are through the roof. Our energy costs, and this is happening individually, our energy costs are out of control and only getting worse. But even before this, they were going up because Eversource, which is a whole other topic, energy costs. And also just the costs, the building costs, our building costs to do the same things, maintain our facilities, or even build something new or renovate something. Across the board in Fairfield County, all of us are experiencing increased costs to do the same thing. So there are some options that you can take, and I'm going to say, we as a town, not as a school, but as a town, we are part of a healthcare consortium. Is that a healthcare consortium? So we are not on a state plan. And back when, and we always relook at this, when Roan Baldwin was the chair, and then when Mike Imber was the chair, we did look at joining the state partnership plan. And for us, as a town, that has kept our increases somewhat lower. This year, the first start of the state partnership plan for our schools and all the schools across Fairfield County was about 15%? 12.5, sorry. But it started at 15, right? Started at 15 and went down to 12.5. But Fairfield County has an increase because our costs are higher. It's increased from the other people. So one option that the town does is we stay in our consortium because our group increase is a little bit lower. And the second part, our energy costs. The town has been working really diligently with green energy. It began almost 10 years ago doing a virtual net metering program to get credits from Eversource. Recently, you might remember, we got a grant from the state to build solar panels on our DPW to help offset the electric costs on our roof so that we would have lower electrical costs, incremental. and we didn't pay for the solar panels. We are trying for last year in the budget for the Offutt Center. The town pays a portion of their electric bills. They are working now to have solar and alternate energy to handle those issues. And as far as facilities, the town has hired a facilities maintainer, is that what it's called? A facilities maintainer to actually be a bit of a worker bee. So we don't have to outsource all of the work and the maintenance work that we currently have to do. But just the supply chain has gone up. And those are what I know across the top of my head. I'm going to pass it to Carl to see if I missed anything administratively.
So we bid out our contracts to different vendors, trying to see if there's a cheaper alternative or a better execution of what we do. Sometimes that plays in our favor, where the marketplace responds at a lower price. The trend has been the marketplace responds not in our favor, and we wind up seeing contract increases based on what the retiring vendor was going into a new vendor. So there are challenges in the supply market for how we can find the cheapest execution. We do look at whether there's a state bid that makes more sense for us to participate in to secure a lower price, or other large cooperatives if there's a cheaper price to be gained there, or if the town should be out on its own because we're looking for something unique and specific to Weston. So there's always an effort to look at, are we getting the best value for what we need to purchase? On the, as was mentioned, healthcare issues, we do have unionized employees. We have to collectively bargain changes. So we did make some changes on town contracts in order to help reduce utilization, which then has a benefit of having a lower renewal. We've seen some early positive indications, which helped our broker be able to go back to Anthem and start to argue that the town of Weston is doing things in order to reduce cost. And then similarly, the hope is they'll find that argument compelling and not kill us on the renewal. There's not a lot of players out there. Our property liability and workers' comp, there's really only one carrier that's consistently in the market. So other carriers may come in, may come out. They'll give you a cheap price for 1 year, clobber you in the next year, and it's not going to give us any kind of consistency going forward.
And then I will just briefly say, we are talking about cost mitigation and how to reduce costs. We also look at ways to bring in revenue. And that is why we are constantly applying for state grants or forgivable loans. And to redo our town and school water system that was found to have PFAS in it, we have filters in it, but that program, which is in its design phase, that is going to be paid for with a forgivable loan from the state revolving fund. A lot of our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, sidewalks, the ARPA money, all of those things are grant money that we have been able to bring in as revenue. And while there are still grants, as long as we believe that we have a good, compelling story and a good, compelling reason, we will continue to try to get those subsidies from the state.
As far as the Board of Finance is concerned, there aren't many buttons we can push on affordability. We rely upon Town Hall and Board of Education to make policy about what the town really needs. Where we can make a difference on Board of Finance is doing the long-term financial planning and looking at all of our needs. The town's capital needs, the school's capital needs. We've all heard about the Weston Middle School project that's being bantied about. The price on that came down this week, so if you haven't looked at the March 16th presentation, do take the time to do that. But where we can make a big difference on Board of Finance is with the Debt Capacity Subcommittee as we evaluate total long-term needs and make recommendations about should we spread the costs over 20 years of financing, or in the case of the school, an option of 30 years financing. And there are philosophical differences about that, but I will tell you right off the bat, the 30-year option on financing schools really spreads the cost out over a longer period of time. There's something that you have heard me say, and you will hear me say it again, about intergenerational equity, which is a fancy way of saying a lot of generations to come will enjoy the benefit of a new school if we build one. And do you want the next generation and a half or the next 2.5 generations to pay for it? So that's how we can impact affordability and as a means of holding down property taxes, which is really, the ultimate measure of affordability in this town.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Someone's coming down. Come on down. Thank you.
Hi, Nicole Wallach, West Branch Road. To piggyback off of that comment, I've seen this year that budgets are increasing for costs that are out of our control. Our capital expenses and capital needs are really significant, and costs for those are going to continue to increase. I've heard from a lot of people about paying for sidewalks. Obviously, we have a big infrastructure project in the middle school, or whatever is happening in school. And everything I've heard is helpful and appreciated to try to find ways to curb costs, but they seem inconsistent in terms of your ability to receive them, and perhaps not that significant of a cost savings for our town. And so it's just a really, really huge burden on our taxpayers. I'm just wondering if the town has thought at all about increased commercial development, and I know that people move to Weston for exactly the opposite, but if we really think about the beautiful neighboring towns around us that all have commercial development, I'm just wondering if it's been considered, or changes in zoning.
So in 2021, so I just want to say again, the sidewalks are completely paid for.
Oh no, I know you said that. Sorry,
okay,
but I'm hearing
okay.
sentiment. I'm just hearing sentiment.
So I just want to say that I think I hear what you're saying, and part of the way to bring in revenue to towns is by increasing commercial business or multifamily, or smaller, increased. I don't like the word the density, but having the village district be realized. And in 2021, and I'm going to pass this to Sally, but I just want to say, yes, we have considered, and yes, there is sentiment to have commercial business and expand the commercial business. I'm going to pass it to Sally because she can articulate much better the spirit of the village district. But what I will say is we did a major rezoning, and it was a year-long process, and it was part of the plan of conservation and development, and it was fully public, and it was changing a significant number of, I think it tripled, but I have to pass it to Sally because they did such a good job.
Thank you. So, Nicole, we did the village district to try to bring the kind of commercial in that would work in Weston. I have to be honest with you, that commercial is not going to bring a lot of money to the town. It would bring people in. It could support, home values and the schools and everything else by bringing people in, but the actual revenue honestly would not be significant. That's not to say it wouldn't be good, and we set up the village district in a way that would comport with what Weston is looking for. So small businesses, things that are service-oriented, beyond what we currently have there. It's all in place, but it's private enterprise, and we've had no one come in to say, yeah, we want to do that. We want to take Weston Center, and we want to do something and revitalize and maybe put up some, multifamily in the back. Again, to bring more people in. I totally hear you, but I think because we don't have water and we don't have sewer, we're very limited to these smaller businesses, which we would love to see. The framework is there. We have to wait for someone to do it. We don't have incentives. We are not a taxing district. There's nothing else to bring people other than an investor seeing potential there. And we would love to have them see it, and we hope we have a framework that might bring someone. Our goal in it was to put something in place, and hopefully within 10 years, something would happen. So we're, 4 or 5 years into it. There are rumblings, nothing yet. You know, I think the framework is a good one. I think it has worked in other towns, but it's got to be something that works for us. We hope we can get it.
Thank you.
I wanted to add
go ahead.
one.
Sure.
Nicole, just to put some numbers on this, and it's a little oversimplified, but remember, we drive town revenue from our grand list. Our grand list is $3 billion. We drive all of our revenue from that. If we were to seek, say, a 10% decrease in what we all pay in our property taxes by encouraging commercial development, we would need approximately a $300 million investment in town to generate 10% revenue that we are already paying. Show me where in town we can invest $300 million.
No, I mean, this is helpful context, so I appreciate it. I'm wondering if you could similarly comment, or if you've thought about it for, I mean, I know it's going to be unpopular with some people, but I know that there's like a huge feeling of, by a lot of people, that the updates and maintenance that our town needs is borne by us, and it's painful. And, or it's either painful or it's not being done and it's getting deferred. But it doesn't mean that it's not needed. So similarly, I wonder if you can provide the same type of comment or response, to the extent you already have it, and I'm not aware of it, about maybe changing some zoning.
So zoning, planning and zoning, that is,
Yeah, that's me. And you know, when we, yeah, and anytime we try to look at planning and zoning issues or code changes that would enable changing the designation of a given area, we go through a very robust public process. That's not, that I'm just saying that by way of background. So when we did the village district, one of the things we looked at was how big an expansion can Weston take? And again, with no sewer and no water, we are severely limited about the type of commercial that we could bring in. And did we think of expanding that? We can't get anybody to come in and give us traction in what we do have in place. The thought of more commercial, you know, each one of the parcels could tolerate commercial, except for I think one or two that are considered residential. We still haven't had any bites.
I apologize, I meant multifamily.
Oh, multifamily.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, so we have it zoned so that it can be multifamily. The parcels that are considered actual village district could be what they call mixed use, and that would be terrific. That would bring people in to support the businesses, the commercial businesses that would be there. And the planning is great on this. The problem is the capital to execute on it. And there are a couple of parcels as well that are simply residential. But again, there's not the return on investment for a private company to do that right now. I'd like to see it. I hope it will come. But I think we have a really good framework. It was well researched, and I think it was one that we tried to look at towns similar to us and see if we could come up with something. We're not on a big transportation corridor, except for, as someone commented, a lot of people going through. Can we get them to stop? Maybe if we have some place that they'd like to stop, that would be great. People stop at Lily's. We get a little more going. But I totally am sympathetic with you. I'd like to see something happen there. I'd like to see the will of the capital to do it, but private enterprise, including the residential.
Thank you. Okay.
I just have one more thing to say. The other thing is we are also Fairfield County, and with multifamily, and we've talked to developers. It's not that we haven't tried, okay? We've talked to developers, we've tried to have them come in, but the same issues that are driving the costs of us repairing things, renovating things, building is new, those things are being felt by developers as well. And we have to also think of in terms of, for them, is a unit that costs between $3,000 and $5,000 a month that has a size restriction, and you can't go very dense because of septic and well, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but I'm just trying to say the slowness of why nobody's jumped at the chance is because the cost of doing business is so high, and you have to, you know, for those of us who pay taxes here, I don't think many of us pay more than $5,000 a month in taxes. I don't know it, like, I don't. I don't pay $3,000 a month in taxes. So those are the numbers that these, as it stands, to the cost of doing these units. So I think that's a barrier too. It's not just the septic and well, it's also, it's so expensive to do it here, but I'm hopeful.
Okay, I
Thank you.
appreciate the context.
Thank you for the question. Next.
Amy Sanborn, Old Hyde Road, on the extension, not on the strip by the sidewalks. And thank you all for all you do for our town, and thank you for being here. Sam has said something twice now where I think I need some help. No, I was not planning to say anything, but now I need help. I did go to the sidewalk meeting, and I think the thing that made me happiest, which everybody should know, is that apparently the estimate for the project is now about where it was or a little bit under when it was originally proposed. And that gave me great comfort because I was scared to death with inflation that the requirement might have gone up, but the grant might not cover it. I think it's great that you've made changes that have brought it down. I hope there's no threshold in the grant that hits some change of scope that triggers the applicability, so that's great news. But what I would like help on is understanding the numbers, because there have been 3 appropriations over the last few years that total $427,000 for the project. The last one was $225 in 24-25, which said construction 1 of 2. If it's a $2 million project, 20% is $400,000. So you keep saying it's paid for, but what I would like to see is like a little summary Excel table that says we've appropriated this much, the consultants have been paid this much, 20% of the $400,000, and show us, because I need help to understand with all the work the engineers have done, which was obvious from all the presentations and whatnot, that it's hard for me to believe that's only cost $27,000 and the $400 for the 20% is covered. So if at some point there could be a little table shared that shows the accounting to date, that would help me understand where we are.
Thank you, Amy. I think we're going to know exactly where we are when we go to the bidding process. That's where we are, because I believe, where is the gentleman who spoke, who was on the building committee years ago? I can't. Yeah. No, not Richard Wolf. It was Joe. Joe,
I think he left.
He left. One of the things that we're considering is whether to do asphalt or concrete. That was mentioned at the meeting. That will change the numbers significantly. So,
But if we could see where they are now, it would be extremely helpful.
yeah, we can put something together, but obviously I don't know off the top of my head. But if we're a $30,000 deficit, I'm sure we can get an appropriation, I would hope, from the lovely Board of Finance.
Okay, everybody's very quiet today. Come on down. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you, you too.
Question for the... thank you. Arne de Kaiser, better known as Helen's husband.
And proudly so.
Salem Road, and proudly so. Question about the Charter Revision Commission, and I'm late, so I apologize if somebody's already asked this question. First of all, will the Charter Revision Commission do a draft before it goes to the selectmen, and we can have a public hearing or information session, et cetera, about it, and enough time between that and the time it goes to the Board of Selectmen to be able to potentially make changes in the draft?
So there's a couple of steps in charter revision that's defined by state statute. So the commission will finish its work and have its draft. That draft will be the basis of a public hearing that the Charter Revision Commission will have. Once that public hearing is held and they receive public comment on their work, it's envisioned that they'll have another meeting where maybe they would make some adjustments or what have you, vote that out. That would go to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen then also have to have a public hearing on charter revision's work. So there's two public hearings that would be coming up to talk about that draft, one with charter revision, one with the Board of Selectmen. After the Board of Selectmen has their public hearing, they can either accept the report as it's come from Charter Vision, or they can send it back for a modification or what have you. Charter Vision has 30 days in order to turn that around and feed it back to the Board of Selectmen. Once they're done with that 30 days, the report is final. It goes back to the Board of Selectmen. At that point, it's kind of a binary decision of it's final, so now it's either the Board of Selectmen accepts the report or rejects the report. And then we go from there. If it's accept, then the next steps would be scheduling what ballot it will appear on for the public to vote. So short term, you got two public hearings to be paying attention to for charter revision, and making your arguments for either charter revision to take a look at it or for the Board of Selectmen to take a look at it.
Thank you. And by the way, I want to be sure to let you and the rest of the commission know that many of us appreciate the very detailed work that you're doing.
I'm just staff.
Sharon's right there.
Oh, also David Muller is, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, right.
I don't want to take away from anything that Kean would say, but we've heard, but I'm on the stage. We've heard from maybe 20 to 25 people since the start of the process.
After the public hearing.
After the public, well, no, including the initial public hearing. People who made comments or who have addressed emails to us. Am I off by a lot? Yes. I'm off by a lot. How much am I off by? So, but in terms of, there was a question earlier about representation. There was a question about representation. No. There was a question about representation earlier. So we've heard from people, but again, a lot of the people who we are hearing from are the people who are in this room, who come to public meetings regularly. It would be wonderful to hear from a broader audience, to get more people to come, because there are 5 of us on the commission, 1 ex officio member, and attorneys, and Carl. We would love to get additional feedback into the process. But even if I have the number and it's 40 or 50 people, that's still a very, very small percentage of people are going to be impacted by the potential, not really impacted, but affected by the changes that are being recommended in our end report. So, and again, I looked around earlier and I said, I recognize like 90% of you because you're all the people who come to every meeting. And unfortunately, you're all carrying pictures of your grandchildren in your wallets, right? We need additional comment from people who have young kids. I didn't say 90%. Yeah. So, but I guess the point is, we would love to hear from a broad cross section of people in town to give feedback on the report.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Sure.
Just one thought about that, and I'll do the rest in a note to the commission. So, thank you. I didn't mean to overlook it. Has there been any consideration to renaming the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board?
That would be a town charter thing.
Right.
Mr.
There's a very short answer. There hasn't been, and it is certainly something. If we got that feedback, I assume we could take it under consideration.
It just eliminates this whole question of is it select men or select women or all of that.
Sure.
It's very Massachusetts. I like it.
You're right.
Well, we do currently in the draft have language to say it's not gender specific or whatever, but getting that kind of input might be another thought for us.
Thank you. Do I have one more question?
You can. It doesn't look like everybody's beaten to the mic there. Go for it.
Sam mentioned the issue of PFAS.
Yes.
Is there anything being done in the town of Weston to inform people about the issue of PFAS, how it may or may not affect our wells, etc.? I don't know if there's any public information campaign about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of high-level public information from the Department of Public Health and
please define. Thank you.
PFAS is the chemical of the moment. It's so-called forever chemicals. It's kind of things that spun off from Teflon, and that as the wonder chemical that came out of World War II. Unfortunately, it went everywhere. It spread, it gets into the water table, and because it was meant to be non-stick, it doesn't stay in one place and has a tendency to spread underground through drinking water and aquifers. It's a bit of a statewide issue. It's very much a countrywide issue. The Department of Public Health is following some PFAS plumes at present as part of a state study for a potential state intervention. They're sort of going from Weston Center down towards Wilton. There seems to be a plume that's going in that direction. They have probed on either side of it to see how wide it is. A number of residents have reached out to DPH and asked for support and testing. So the state has come in and done very much a series of tests to determine whether someone's drinking water exceeds the state's level for PFAS or is under. If it exceeds, the state is providing filtration to those homes. If it isn't, there's some educational materials, but the state isn't going to provide filtration. The state was also providing the filter media for those homes so that they would have something to be able to maintain their filters after the state puts them in. So the state is very much interested in this and investigating it. They really have not trumpeted loudly what they're doing in town, but they are very slowly trying to follow a path and reach out methodically to property owners in that path area to understand and characterize what's going on underground.
Laura, we have
And-
from Aspetuck Health District.
Yeah, Lucy and I are kind of looking at each other. I want to address, though, the school and town water system. When we discovered that, we worked very closely with former superintendent. That was in 22-23. We had a series of public hearings. I think those are still online. We had communications. We had the water level tests that were before and the after. All of that is on our drinking water page, Larry? Is that what we call it? The drinking water page, is it? Yeah, the drinking water page for the town system. Lucy, Carl kind of said a lot about what the state is doing on the individual side. Do you want to say anything about kind of what, at the time when we found that, we did offer discounted rates to test your own water, but that was 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
I just,
perfect.
Hi, Lucy Bango from Aspetuck Health District. So we've had conversation with the State Department of Public Health and with DEEP, and they do, we do exchange emails and information regarding private well testing results, but other than that, not a lot of public education that, I would like to see more of come down from them. We've also had a lot of impediment as far as well result information release. They came out with an act, I think it was last year, where they actually prohibited local health from releasing information to the public regarding well testing. That finally has been pulled back on, so now that's public information. But certainly, if anyone has any specific questions related to their well, they can come to our department or contact us, and we can give you any information we have.
Yeah, I'd like to see the town Native Sustainability Committee be more proactive in letting people know about this, not to scare them, but to be aware. And also, supportive information is not just Teflon, it's the forever chemicals are in loads and loads of plastic, including the stuff that we buy in the grocery store every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Anyone else?
I may have a comment relative to PFAS that could be helpful.
Yes, of course.
So-
Go ahead, sir. Do you need a mic?
I don't think so. Do I?
You want to stand up?
Sure. I'm on Ridge Road, and I was proactively reached out by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. DEEP? Yeah. And they said they're doing this testing. And Ridge Road, part of Northfield, yes, Deb, all of us had PFAS that exceeded a very small, the limit is very strict. So I think the vast majority of homes on Northfield, I'm looking at Deb because Deb's on Northfield, the vast majority of homes on Ridge Road all have elevated PFAS. And so the state proactively reached out to us and put a filtration system in. There's a bit of a disconnect as who's responsible for the filters. I may have to get with Deb because, but they put a very expensive filtration system in at no cost to homes that were identified. So if anyone's interested later, I can share the person that I've been in communication with. But the state, from my understanding, they are proactively reaching out. And I did ask the question about how widespread a problem this was, and they're being very tight-lipped. I don't know why.
I can think of a couple of reasons. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Harry Spencer, 38 Lions Plain Road, coming up on 24 years in Weston. And I just want to say, I love Weston. I hear all the comments, been part of this town and observed, as many of you have. I want to do some shout outs. I want to thank the police, okay, Chief of Police, the Police Commission, because I appreciate the signs, the solar signs that were put up with the digital numbers. I think it's been helpful related to it. I'm appreciative of the fact that our roads are better than they were 6 years ago, okay, significant. In this storm, this last storm, yeah, we've got some new surprises, and as does every road in every town up here in the Northeast. But boy, very appreciative. You can see it that goes with it. Our schools are fantastic. All three of my kids have gone through these schools, as many of y'all have as well, or are going through them now. That goes with it. There's a lot of great stuff that goes with it, and even Eversource. Okay, ever the source of a problem. Let's put aside what they're charging, what the costs are. Let's put that how they calculate it. But look, our power has been more reliable since they've been doing the proactive tree pruning and all the rest of it. And Tom points out the trees and tells them to take them down or reimburse for it. Okay, the DPW does a fabulous, and kudos. Okay, this past year, the group at DPW. So a lot of positive things that I think we should all feel good about. The vitality of our town. Has anybody in this room not been to the shop? That's great. Okay. The vitality of our town, the growth, the energy that's there. And it's brought, what, 40% of new people into our town in the last 5-6 years since COVID. So a lot of great stuff that's there. So what am I going to say? Hey, I don't want to be driven out of town because of the cost. Okay? I don't want to be driven out of town because of it becomes a toxic environment, or an environment where we can't talk and embrace feedback. So where it's the charter revision, whether it's, do you build or renovate a middle school, whether it's a sidewalk on this road or that road, I don't want one on mine, okay? Just offering it. I don't have the answer yes or no related to those things. Just ask that we all be thoughtful and that we take the feedback that's being provided from everyone not just in this room, but that's moved into this community, and engaging them further so that we can continue to make Weston the wonderful town that it is and the best of the W's. And that's not just Wilton, Westport.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Helen, okay, go ahead, sir. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Gus Christensen from Norfield Road, right across the street. I have a general comment and then a very, very hyper-specific question for Larry. My general comment, I'm on planning and zoning. I also have a long career as an investment banker and done a lot of work with real estate and specifically with restaurants and retail over my career as a banker. And I want to reinforce what Sally and Sam have said about commercial development in the town. It is economically very challenging as a return on investment basis, no matter how much we may or may not desire it. I think when you look at what actually brings down the mill rate of Wilton and Westport and some other towns, it's not just the retail downtowns that we all know. It's those giant office complexes back in the trees. You go down to the corner here, if you drive down Weston Road toward Westport, you're going to pass one, you can barely see it. There's a giant Bridgewater complex back in the trees there, and if you go down Norfield Road towards Wilton, you're going to pass another one down there. Each of those towns has dozens, actually, of those large office complexes. They have an incredible vacancy problem, right? Bridgewater is pulled back, and this is not just right here where Bridgewater and GE were the largest, users of those spaces in Fairfield and everywhere else. In Fairfield, several of those buildings that had GE in them have been converted into the colleges there, have bought them, Sacred Heart bought them, things like that. That takes it right off the tax rolls of Fairfield when it goes from being GE to being Sacred Heart. We would have to go back in time 30 or 40 years to get one of those or 5 of those office complexes in Weston. No one's building those anymore. The demand for the space isn't there. The economy has shifted and where people work has shifted. So even if we had a 10, 20, 30, 40 acre parcel of trees in Weston that was suitable to build an office complex. There's no developer who wants to build it. There's no return on that. So that's not something that we can do even if we wanted to plan for it. And in terms of restaurants, look, the restaurant industry is an extremely challenging industry. Not to speak specifically to any restaurant or opportunity in this town, but in general, if you think about new restaurant space, no one's actually building new restaurant boxes around here. If you want to open a restaurant in this area, you're going to go to, there's vacancies in Westport, in Wilton, in every town. Restaurants go bankrupt all the time. There are always new spaces that you can look at, and they already have kitchens, and they're already up to code and things like that. So if someone is going to either build a new box or take a derelict building and bring it up to code for a current restaurant, you're talking about spending millions of dollars, whether it's $1 million, $5 million, all kinds of factors are involved. When you're talking about spending that kind of money, you need to create a space it's actually going to generate like $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month in rent to pay for that kind of investment.
Sir, do you have a question? Is there a question?
So it's like, it's hard. Look, so the point is we're trying.
I hear your frustration.
Yeah,
I think we all
it's hard.
pretty much feel it.
I have a very specific question for Larry.
Okay.
Larry, the garbage truck that flipped over on Greenfield and Walker this past week. Amazing photos if anyone wants to see. I live here, not there, but I have a bunch of friends over there, and they have concern that there's an ice patch that's been developed there since the road was repaved, and they're asking if you're kind of aware of that, or if you have thoughts on that, if something needs to be changed in the road for that ice patch. Photos.
Yeah, we are aware of it. It really only occurs during specific times of the year when we have a lot of rain, a higher water table, and freezing temperatures at night, and usually above freezing during the day. That's just one area where we have a challenge there. And what exacerbates that challenge in that area is the underground utilities on the side of the road where that water is coming off of an embankment. So normally we would just easily go in, we would dig down, we would do like a curtain drain and bring it right down to an existing catch basin. There's underground power in that area, and it's a lot more difficult to do that. But we are looking at it, and we are going to address some of those issues. We run into the same problem on Valley Forge Road. During the day, the water just, it's above freezing, goes off, but then around midnight, it freezes over, and we have issues. So what we try and do is we'll get out before the staff leaves at the end of the day, and we know we call them hot spots, but they're really cold spots, I guess, and we'll try and hit them with some salt before we go home to make sure it protects it on the overnight. That ice patch on Greenfield was not identified that day. I believe it's my uneducated opinion that the garbage truck driver might have been going a little bit too fast.
Garbage truck drivers drive too fast?
Yeah, go figure. And I think that is also what led to that issue. So we are aware of it, and we are looking for solutions on that. So I thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. I think we have Helen's coming up to the mic. Go for it, Helen.
Helen DeKaiser, 30 Salem Road, and I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Those signs, I do think, are very effective, and they are a single expense once one hopes, plus the power needed to deal with it, but I guess solar.
State paid for it.
Yeah, okay.
For now.
And so that is just, I wanted to reiterate that is less intrusive than cameras, which I personally would not particularly welcome either. On the health district and spreading the word, there is, I think now, at last, a newish pamphlet that helps people understand how their everyday use items, from dental floss, for heaven's sakes, to clothing, does have forever chemicals in it, to say nothing, your rain gear, blah, blah, blah. And so I think it would be great to bring that to libraries in Weston, Easton, Reading, and so forth, and have that distributed much more widely. And then the third thing, I've been listening in on the Charter Revision Commission, a number of the meetings, and the idea of having not a public hearing, but a back and forth is one of the elements that I think has frustrated a tremendous number of people. And that has happened at the best moments, very capably at the annual town budget meeting. But to do it way earlier in the process, I think would be a very helpful change to put into place. And congratulations on a good process.
Thank you very much. I think that's all we have time for. I would just like to take this moment to, apathy is a real problem. As you see, all the people here are very involved, and more people should be involved, especially in a small town like Weston where you can have input, and not every town or city can say that. So whatever you heard here, please tell everyone what you heard. Personal relationships is how the word gets spread around, since it's such a bifurcated system that we currently live in. And thank you to all for to come, and thanks to all the volunteers on this stage as well as all the staff for working so hard for Weston. And if you are inclined, please join the League of Women Voters. We are looking for people who are involved in civics, as all of you are. Thank you very much.